When you think of football tactics, what's the first formation that pops into your head? For millions, it's gotta be the 4-4-2. It's more than just a set of numbers on a tactics board, you know? It's a whole philosophy. A perfectly balanced system that looks so simple on paper, but is unbelievably hard to get right. It's the formation that has built dynasties and created legends. So that leads us to the big question we're going to dig into today. In a game that changes constantly, with all these new complex tactics and fluid systems, how has this one classic formation managed to become, well, immortal? Let's figure it out.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with the legend itself. Then we'll break down the anatomy of the formation piece by piece. After that, we'll see how it becomes an impenetrable fortress on defense and launches these lightning-fast counterattacks. Then, we'll get real about its strengths and weaknesses. And finally, we'll wrap up by talking about the absolute icons, the legendary teams that made this formation a work of art.
So what's the secret sauce? Honestly, the genius of the 4-4-2 is its perfect balance. It's all built on three distinct, disciplined lines: defense, midfield, and attack. And because of that structure, it covers the entire width of the pitch. That simple, solid foundation is what makes everything else possible. But see, that structure is only as strong as its parts. This isn't a formation for individual superstars trying to do their own thing. Nope. It's about 11 players working like a single, cohesive unit. So let's pull back the curtain and look at each of those crucial roles. At its core, it breaks down into three clear units. You've got your back four, that's your foundation, your solid base. Then you've got the midfield four, which is really the engine room. They control the game's tempo, they shield the defense, and they feed the attack. And up top, you've got the dynamic duo, the two strikers, whose job is simple: put the ball in the back of the net. And right in the heart of that engine room is the box-to-box midfielder. This player is quite literally the lungs of the team. They need an incredible engine to go from defending their own penalty area 1 second to getting on the end of a cross in the opponent's box the next. They're the critical link that stitches the whole system together. And up front, you get this classic pairing, which is just tactical poetry, the big man, small man partnership. You've got the big target man, whose job is to battle defenders, win every ball in the air, and hold up play. He creates absolute chaos, and that chaos is the playground for the smaller, quicker poacher who reads the game, darts into the space the big man created, and finishes the chance. I mean, together, they're a complete nightmare for defenders. Okay, now let's talk defense. What makes the 4-4-2 so famously hard to break down? It all comes down to one idea: the compact block. We're talking two disciplined banks of 4 players, moving in perfect sync, almost like they're tied together by a rope, just shutting down all the space and suffocating the other team. And for any coaches watching this, here's a key detail you have to get right. That distance between your defensive line and your midfield line, it has to be about 10 to 15 meters, no more. Maintaining this vertical compactness is absolutely crucial. It denies your opponents that little pocket of space between the lines where their best players love to operate. You nail this, you shut them down. This defensive shape is perfect for setting traps. A classic example is the wing trap. It's so smart because you're basically using the sideline as an extra defender. The whole team shifts over, forcing the play wide, and then, bang, the winger and the fullback press the ball carrier together. You've created a 2-on-1 overload, and you win the ball back. And that moment, that's the trigger for a devastating counterattack. Right, because that rock-solid defense is really just the launch pad for the attack. A classic 4-4-2 isn't about passing the ball around for ages. No, it's about being solid, and in the second you win the ball, you explode forward with speed and directness to punish the opposition. The attacking mindset is just ruthlessly efficient. The moment you win possession, the first thought is always forward. You see teams creating these little passing triangles out wide to overload the opponent's fullback. And here's the kicker. With 2 strikers always in the box, every single cross is a serious threat. Unlike systems with just 1 striker, the defense has to worry about 2 different targets at the same time. It's a huge advantage. But of course, no formation is perfect. For all its legendary strength and beautiful balance, the 4-4-2 has a pretty well-known Achilles heel. It's a trade-off that modern tactics have really learned how to exploit. So here's the fundamental trade-off of the 4-4-2. On the plus side, you get simple, clear roles for every player, fantastic defensive balance, and that constant threat from 2 strikers. But the flip side is you can get totally outnumbered in the middle of the park, which can lead to big gaps between your lines and make your attacks a bit, well, predictable.
And this, right here, is the critical flaw. It's the one that modern formations are built to punish. If you're up against a team playing a 4-3-3, for example, your two central midfielders are fighting a 2 versus 3 battle. And if you lose that battle in the middle, you often lose control of the whole game. Your strikers get no service, and your defense is just under constant, relentless pressure.
But here's the thing. Even with that weakness, the 4-4-2 has been the backbone for some of the greatest teams in football history. It proves that it's not just about the system itself, but about the genius managers and players who mastered it. And what a legacy it is. Just think about Arrigo Sacchi's revolutionary AC Milan side. They used a high line and a pressing game that just suffocated teams. Or Sir Alex Ferguson's '99 Manchester United team that won the treble, powered by David Beckham's crosses and Ryan Giggs' speed. Fast forward to the modern era, and you've got Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid, who turned it into this narrow, unbreakable defensive wall. And of course, how could we forget the ultimate underdog story, Leicester City's fairy tale title in 2016, built purely on defensive grit and killer counterattacks? You know, this quote from the great Sir Alex Ferguson just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the spirit of the 4-4-2. It's not just about flashy, talented players. It's about balance. You need the artists, the piano players, but you absolutely need the guys who do the hard work, the piano carriers, to make it all possible. And that leaves us with one last question to think about. In today's game, with all its tactical jargon, inverted fullbacks, false nines, you name it, is the real timeless power of the 4-4-2 something much simpler? Could it be that in an age of tactical confusion, its greatest strength is just its beautiful, genius clarity?